Welcome to Daz Geek. Look, I did not plan to do a video today. What did Ryan not plan to do for 500, Alex? Do a video. On my rare day off, though, Valve decides to drop a bomb that I just can't ignore. So I thought we would sit here and kind of go through some of the specs and what they've released and talk about it here because we got to have a conversation, right? And we also have a conversation of it going on in Destination Linux, which will come out probably Tuesday next week. So be on the lookout for that. But I'm already seeing people very psyched and pumped about this, but also seeing some people come in there and make some claims about the new Steam machine that's going to drop, which we'll get to in a moment. And they don't really know what they're talking about because they're comparing the specs of this machine to a Windows machine. And there's a lot of differences here, and that's what we're going to get into, kind of help people understand just how amazing what Valve is doing here is. But let's check out the video and go through all the things that they dropped because they dropped a lot in this 6-minute video.
Hey everyone, this is Steam Deck. Steam Deck is our powerful, portable, handheld gaming PC that lets you take your Steam library with you anywhere. We're pretty proud of it. People who own Steam Decks have been playing everywhere, and we couldn't.
What's interesting about the Steam Deck, real quick, is that it really has completely unraveled the market of portables. Everybody after the Steam Deck started going after making a portable, and nobody has been successful as the Steam Deck. And I think it's because of the access to the library and the foundation of Valve, which is they're giving you great value. They've always stuck to their foundation of treating their customers right. Are they perfect? No. But they're about as perfect as you can get in the gaming industry, where they stick to the foundation that got them popular in the first place. And I think that's a big part of why Valve is so successful. Steam Deck's pretty awesome.
Couldn't be happier with the response we've heard from all of you. We're excited to talk about the future of Steam Deck, but not today, because this isn't a video about the future of Steam Deck. This is a video about the future of Steam hardware. Today, we're announcing 3 new members of the Steam hardware lineup. All connect you with powerful PC gaming. All are optimized for gaming with Steam, and all are shipping in early 2026. Let's start with this one.
What's really cool here is, if you notice, this presentation is not pretentious. You don't have this like billion-dollar starship building they're zooming in and out of, and a bunch of executives who are taking the stage to get their, airtime, to feel like they're celebrities, talking about, how they made this most amazing thing ever and the greatest release we've ever had, and blah, 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 and speaking all of these little kind of taglines and stuff. There's no pretentiousness to this. It's just a clean video showing off the hardware. It's well done. It's fun so far. So I like how they're going about this. And it's, again, just the difference between Valve and how other companies treat this industry, which is bigger than movies and music combined. Gaming's a big deal.
This is the new Steam controller. The new Steam controller puts all of your Steam games at your fingertips, so you can play wherever and however you want. Just like with Steam Deck, we want you to be able to play any game with your Steam controller, even games never built with a controller in mind. It has all the great features from Steam Deck, like trackpads, gyro, and back buttons, all in a comfortable form factor. Its next-generation magnetic thumbsticks let you play with improved responsiveness and longevity.
It's a big deal to a lot of people. I didn't know this. This is, part of the hardware world that I'm not as familiar with, but that I've learned from others is just how important those joysticks can, and the importance of the accuracy, which completely makes sense. It's just nothing I thought of before. I would just go get an Xbox controller, PlayStation controller, and play it. But there's a lot that goes into those components. And I got the Elite Xbox controller and immediately had the issues with kind of the floating and stuff going on, which is kind of a known issue with them. So even when you get some of these higher end controllers, if they're not calibrated, they're not created correctly, any kind of missing component of them, and your game is off. So it's very important. But to me, the most important thing is how it feels in your hand. It looks good how they're holding it here, that it would be comfortable. But traditionally, I've not been a huge fan personally of the Steam controller. That doesn't mean it's not great. It's just never had that kind of feel like an Xbox controller has, which I think is kind of the, I don't know, the staple which all try to achieve is that Xbox form factor. In general, that's the one people talk about as far as grip feel, or even the PlayStation 1 has come a long way over the years. So because of that fully square shape, almost Nintendo Switch controller, Pro controller like here, it will be interesting to see how they pull off the feel of this controller.
We've put capacitive touch sensors on the thumbsticks and now on the back of the controller too, so you can enable precision gyro aiming with the touch of your thumb or your pinky if you're feeling fancy. Play for way too long with a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that allows for over 35 hours of playtime. With Steam Controller, we want to make charging and wireless pairing something that's actually easy. That's why we created the Puck. The Puck is a combination wireless adapter and magnetic charger included with every Steam controller. Snap it on to charge. Once you're charged up, snap it off again. You can play over Bluetooth or a wired connection too.
That magnetic charging is brilliant. I really love the magnetic charging. When you look at the Macs, the new M4s, they brought back the magnetic charger even on the side of that, which breaks away if you accidentally have a dog run through your cord or a kid trip on your cord or whatever. It's just a much better design than having something fully plugged in like that. So I love that they thought of that, and I think that's going to be a big selling point for them.
The new Steam controller works with any device running Steam or Steam.
Of course, that I like too.
PC, Mac, handheld, smartphone, Steam Deck, or the new Steam machine. Oh, this is the new Steam machine.
This is where we're waiting for. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go.
Steam Machine is a powerful gaming PC in a small but mighty.
Did you notice the customizable fronts? This is important. I've seen so many people commenting about missing the old days of the Macs and things that came in really pretty colors, and just the risks people were taking with form factors and stuff. And then you had kind of System 76 create a desktop where you had the panels you could take in and out and kind of customize, which I thought was a really smart approach to having kind of a standard form factor, but being able to put your own personal touch on it. And here you see Valve taking that into a different scale here with the whole faceplate, being able to customize that, making it look cool wherever you put it. And that makes it feel personal and special and more than just a black box. It's a very cool touch. It's small. And people are probably like, why are you making such a big deal of that? But to me, that's fun. And that's what this is all about. Gaming, believe it or not, gaming is about fun. I know we've forgotten that. A lot of game studios have.
Designed for your games on the big screen. It's quiet too, which is crazy since it's 6 times more powerful than a Steam Deck.
Yes.
Powered by a discrete, semi-custom AMD GPU, enabling 4K gaming at 60 frames per second with FSR. Steam.
That with FSR is a very important point there. So if you don't know, a way to look at FSR is essentially it's a way of cheating to get better frame rates in a good way. It's not like cheating in a bad way. Like cheating in a, is there a good kind of cheating? It's a good kind of cheating. I don't know what else to compare it to, but essentially it allows it to kind of render at 1080 behind the scenes. It can also utilize some of the prior rendered images, and it upscales that. So you feel like you're playing a game at a much higher quality than it is. It can upscale it to 2K, it can upscale it to 4K, but it's rendering those behind the scenes at 1080, let's say, and then it's kind of utilizing some prior rendered images for a tree instead of having to re-render everything from scratch. And it's, you know, cutting some edges and things out. It's cutting some frames that aren't needed, some of the details that aren't needed in certain areas, and kind of upscaling them in the back end, allowing the performance to still remain really high, but the picture quality to be what the user expects. I think there was studies done somewhere around 60-70% of people can't even tell the difference between this. Now, there are some people who have mentioned when they see this running, they'll see sometimes some fragments or shadows or weird things that occur, and that can certainly happen. But you've got to keep the cost of this box down. And unless we want to spend $1,400 on a Steam machine, then, where you've got a card that's capable, especially with the cost of RAM, the cost of storage because of all this AI stuff, they had to cut some corners somewhere. And I think when you look at the power of this, when you look at what you could do if you've actually had a Steam Deck and seen the amount of AAA games and things that it can play, and this is 6 times more powerful than that, I think you're going to have an amazing system here. If I was to compare the specs that I've seen with a game console, probably be a little bit above the Xbox Series S. And so more powerful than that. But that machine, which I've had, the Xbox Series S, is extremely capable of playing all the AAA game titles and things out there. The difference here is now I have access to my Steam library and a more powerful machine, and from a company I like a lot more than Microsoft, especially lately with some of their changes and their increase in membership fees and things for their gaming packages, what they've done to all the game studios they've bought. They've just kind of ruined gaming for a lot of people. And so Valve coming in here with this is a no-brainer for me. This thing is going to go sit in my living room. That's where I want this. It's going to sit in my living room, and this is going to be my entertainment system / it's going to be my gaming system. So Xbox X1 that I have, One X, whatever, that basically just streams videos for me, that's going to go. And this is going to go sit in its place. And I'll stream Netflix and do all of that stuff from this machine and be able to game down there as well with my entire Steam library, which is incredibly dope. This is an amazing machine, and it's so small. You've seen it in the pictures if you've been paying attention in the background where the 2 people are playing. It's tiny. It's like 10 inches tall or something.
The machine runs SteamOS, made for a bigger screen. Built for gaming in your living room, your office, or wherever you play, with the rest of your PC accessories. Steam Machine borrows some great features from Steam Deck, like lightning-fast sleep and wake, an SD card slot to easily expand your storage, and brings some new tricks of its own, like a customizable LED strip, which can show different system functionalities.
That stuff's
or
important.
Light show. Steam Machine is a PC, so run whatever software you want, and it works with all your favorite desktop and gaming accessories. Steam Machine is designed to work hand in hand with the Steam controller, with the low latency, wireless connectivity of the Steam controller puck built right in. And it's great for streaming your games to your phone, tablet, laptop, Steam Deck, or Steam Frame. Oh, yep. This is...
All right, before we get on to this, that's what's missing in a lot of people's analysis. So a lot of people aren't familiar with Linux as they should be. And so when they're looking at the specs of this machine, they are comparing it to if you were to run those specs with Windows sitting on top. And we know through all of the studies that have been done from multiple sources that Linux is far, far more efficient, 50, 60% more efficient than Windows. So when you combine that, this is the missing piece for people. When you combine the operating system efficiencies of SteamOS and you compare that to a similar machine but running Windows, and you say, well, if that was Windows, because that's what they're thinking in their mind, I've seen artifacting and I've seen all this stuff with machines with those specs trying to do upscaling and all of that. You can't compare. You need 16 gigs of VRAM. You need 32 gigs of VRAM. That's where this thing's going to... You can't compare it. And Valve has stated in their own testing that it's done incredibly well. And based on the Steam Deck and everything else Valve has done, I completely trust it. Of course, we'll see when we get one, but I think they know what they're talking about, and they're not going to release a machine that's not capable of playing all of the titles that people are interested in playing and at a reasonable quality. Plus, again, they have to make sure they hit a price point that's going to be accessible for most people, and that's what they did with the Steam Deck that made it quite amazing, and they've made it upgradable, and it's a full PC. So unlike your Xbox or PlayStation, you can actually utilize this as a full machine. Your kids could get one of these, put it in their room, actually do their homework and game on this thing all in one. That makes it a very, very great and easy sale to the wife. So there you go. That's my little tip for you. Let's talk about VR. I'm not a VR person, so I don't even know what they're going to release here, but there's nothing in VR that's probably going to excite me, to be honest with you. Not that I don't enjoy VR from time to time, but personally, it's just one of those things that hasn't taken off for me.
Steam
so
Frame.
it just is what it is. And it's hard to compete with Meta. I mean, let's be honest. I can't stand the company, but their VR.
Steam Frame is Valve's next generation VR hardware. Stream all your Steam games, VR and non-VR alike, in this comfortable, lightweight, wireless VR headset. Steam Frame uses camera-based tracking, so getting into your games is as easy as slipping on the headset and waking it up. Steam Frame controllers, included with the headset, are designed with all the
nice,
inputs
they're
you
included
need for your VR titles, like motion controls,
I guess you'd have to
and
include
capacitive
something.
tracking for all your fingers, as well as a split gamepad layout to work with your whole Steam library. They even feature the same magnetic thumbsticks and Steam
Nice.
controller for responsiveness and longevity. Steam Frame also pairs seamlessly with the new Steam controller, a great companion for playing non-VR games in the headset. To make sure streaming is smooth and stable no matter what, Steam Frame includes a wireless adapter that lets you stream your games
That's
from
cool.
your PC to your headset over a fast and dedicated Wi-Fi 6 connection. And the game is streamed to your frame optimized for VR, using new technology that allows for the highest resolution streaming exactly where your eyes are looking. And Steam Frame is a PC, running SteamOS. In addition to streaming, you can install and play a bunch of VR and non-VR games right in the headset without a host PC. You can also expand your onboard storage to fit even more games with a micro SD card. Steam controller, Steam machine, and Steam Frame. All built with the same DNA as Steam Deck, all powered by Steam, work together, and can be used however you'd like with whatever peripherals and accessories you choose. Everything you see here is the culmination of what we've learned from our previous hardware experience.
What's cool about this is the integration across the board of SteamOS on their products. Instead of having a separate operating system for VR, a separate operating system for Steam Deck, a separate operating system for the machine, they're able to, and this is very important for them as well, consolidate into one OS. They chose Arch, KDE Plasma, which is amazingly lightweight, amazingly customizable. By the way, they run Arch. And that was a brilliant choice because of that. And because they chose such a lightweight system, they're able to deliver more performance directly to your gaming as a result of that. And their updates, security patches, everything they can roll out in one versus having to support each system individually, which is important for a company. Even though Valve is very big, they're small in the sea of giant tech companies, and yet they're making such a big splash and done so much for Linux and gaming there. So just really awesome stuff. I don't know what we need to watch the rest of this,
And what we've wanted
but
ourselves as gamers.
let's see what they
Powerful
got here.
PC gaming in an open ecosystem, giving you more ways to enjoy the games you love and discover new ones. Steam Controller, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame are all shipping in early 2026.
There you go.
Learn more at steampowered.com/hardware.
Let's do that because we want to see what's going on with the hardware. That's an important part of this. Let's go through some of these specs that they have here and see what we think. All right, so here it is. You can see the hardware here. Absolutely tiny, small little machine that they have, which is one of the biggest selling factors, is that this thing's so tiny, and a banana for scale, which is the most important comparison that we can do here. So now we're actually looking at the specs. We'll actually look at the specs, but you can see you've got lots of I/O options, input, output. It was upgradable, if you remember, with a micro SD slot, so you can increase the storage without having to buy some, custom storage option or some third-party thing they have or proprietary thing. You can do it yourself, up to 2 terabytes of storage in a micro SD, which is crazy. Again, customized. Look how small it is. You've got your LED strip that can do your download stats and other things on that strip, so it's customizable, make it your own. All of that's cool, but let's get to the spec portion. So now we can kind of see the form factor here. You got your AC power connector, USB-C, 2 USB-As, Ethernet, HDMI. So you can expand even probably with external storage here, as well as the micro SD. So they have a semi-custom Zen 4, which makes it pretty hard to compare to something else. But, you know, in doing some comparisons of the specs here, maybe the closest thing would be like a Ryzen 5 7640U, something like that. So a capable, very capable, you know, CPU for this. And then they've got another semi-custom 28 CUs, 2.4 gigahertz max sustained, 110 watt TDP GPU, and it's on the same die, which used to be like a death sentence. But you've seen what is capable now of what they can put on the same die, and that now is no longer a negative. It can do a lot of great things when it comes to obviously power saving. And number two, it can reduce cost quite a bit, and they can make it quite powerful. I mean, look at just what Mac has done on the single die with their M4s and things. This is probably the equivalent to like a 7600M or something like that from AMD, which again, fully capable of playing all the latest titles and things out there. And then you've got 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, which is going to put it in a complete different class than your Xbox and others that are running, obviously, from 2013. Far older technology there. And 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM. This is where people were like, hey, it needs to be at least 16 gigabytes. Why are they saying that? Well, they're basing it on a Windows PC, and they're basing it on discrete graphics cards that they see out there in the market. And that's what they're saying it needs to be. But you got to remember, your PC is probably running Windows for your gaming, and that's going to take a ton of overhead away from your GPU. And now that you have SteamOS, a dedicated gaming operating system, there's a reason why your Xbox doesn't just come with Windows. It'd be far easier for them, but they had to create a custom OS on top of that to reduce some of that overhead. In this case, however, not only does it reduce the overhead because they chose Linux, but you can still use it as a PC fully and functionally. Incredible. So I think that these specs are really, really impressive, depending on what price point it comes out at. So if this thing is 800 plus, I would want more. If this thing is sub 600 or less, I think this is a steal. Because you couldn't build this machine for that if you went out there and tried to do it yourself and match this. So we don't know what exactly the semi-custom 6-core, 12-thread is going to be able to output, but I know they've done, based on how Valve did with the Steam Deck, a lot of testing, and I'm sure if it's 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, and I can already play everything I want to play on the Steam Deck, that this is going to be quite capable machine there. You've got your display port, your HDMI 2.0. Looks like you got your, of course, talking about all the RGB and stuff, which some people take it or leave it. And we get to see Linux in a spec sheet from a system that is going to gain mass popularity, which is really, really cool to see. Of course, you got your FreeSync support and other things there. 512 gig model, 2 terabyte model, but both you can expand yourself. And the Steam Deck was really easy to get into and work on. So repairability is a big deal there. And this thing looks like, based on how it was built, how it looks to me, like this will be fully repairable and upgradable and not using a bunch of proprietary stuff, which makes this really, really important of a machine. Now, I would love if they went with the framework style, where each year you could plug and play a new main board into this. Imagine how amazing that would be. That's what's kind of missing from this, in my opinion, is imagine they released this machine, but they went with the framework style where each year you could plug a new board with the new die, GPU, CPU combo that's more powerful in there, and I don't have to replace everything else around the machine, and I could save a ton of money. That would be a huge disruptor in the market, and the one thing that I wish Steam would have caught up with here specifically is to do something like that. But hopefully in the future, the framework style of, being able to not have to throw away machines entirely because of an upgrade kicks in and Valve picks up on that. That would be the best thing for this. Otherwise, I'm super impressed. I'm super pumped. I will have one of these if I can get in on the pre-order. I was hoping the pre-order would already be open, but if you remember the Steam Deck pre-order, it was crazy. I woke up that morning, was waiting, and barely got in time to get one. Sold out super quick, their first batches. So if you're wanting one of these, you better put it on your calendar, maybe take the day off. All right, so I'm excited, but I want to know what you guys think. Is this something you're interested in? Is this something you want to get your hands on? Maybe you're not interested in it, but you're excited for what it means for gaming on Linux, taking it to the next level. Give me your thoughts down below. And until next time, get out there and fill your brains.